Thank you so much for joining the We Don't Play podcast show today, Rob Hoffman. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing outstanding.
Bruh, you are doing more than outstanding. I will shout out to you and Jake Ward for doing amazing things in the AI SEO marketing business space.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you having me on. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, anytime, man. We connected on LinkedIn, and most people use LinkedIn and they don't know how to connect sometimes because they don't know, can I reach out? Can I say hi? And we just happen to have even the same similarities when we first connected. And now I thought about reaching out because I felt like when I did an episode recently, I talked about LLM tools, large language model tools, and I broke them down and I told them that people listening actually that Mentions is my favorite and I'm subscribed to it. And I joined the waitlist early and I wanted people to know about it too, but I also gave them other options to choose from because I was like, you know what? I don't want to be biased. Y'all choose whatever you want, but I know what's good and I know what you need. So that's why I said, let me bring you on board and help people understand it because they may not understand it from me, but you're the founder and you're the one that knows more about it than I do. I would love for people to hear it from you too.
Perfect. I appreciate it. And what I'm going to say is this episode is not about me. It is about the people listening. So my goal is to give the people listening as much value and as little fluff as possible.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We love high value conversations here for
Oh, yeah.
sure. Yeah. Let's start off from the beginning. How did it all start for you? Like, where did business start for you? And what was the trajectory pathway that took you to where you are now? And how did Mentions even come to be?
Dude, that's a long answer. How can I condense it? I actually never intended to get into entrepreneurship. I thought I was going to be a journalist my entire life, and I fell out of love with journalism at a certain point. And I ended up moving to Medellin, Colombia when I was 25 years old because I fell out of love with journalism and I decided I wanted to be a business person and an entrepreneur. And so I moved to Medellin. I had like 10 grand of savings and I wanted to stretch that money out as far as possible as I focused on building my business. So when I moved to Medellin, I moved in with some local friends who I had met in Medellin, and I lived in an apartment in what was described by Western media as a quote unquote slum, a very dangerous neighborhood. And I didn't see it that way. But my rent cost $50 a month, and my next door neighbors were gangsters basically running a trap house. But it was amazing. For me, it was great, mainly because I was able to stretch out my money so far that I could just focus full time on building my business. And over the course of a few years, I ended up getting my business off the ground. The first business was my SEO agency called Contact. And that kind of kickstarted everything. And there are many more anecdotes and I can go much more into detail. But again, I want to make sure that I'm keeping the conversation focused on things that are actionable for the users. So I'll leave it there for now. But what I will say is that from the SEO agency, that's where Mentions ended up being born, mainly because in recent years, as many people know, SEO has changed a lot, particularly in response to AI and search trends moving away from Google and towards LLMs like ChatGPT and Perplexity, Gemini, Claude, etc. So we are very focused on being the SEO agency of the future, being very cutting edge, of staying on top of trends and kind of what's happening with technology and whatnot. And so we said, okay, everything is going in this direction. Search is moving slowly away from Google and towards platforms like ChatGPT. And so we need a way of measuring brands' visibility on these platforms and helping brands to get more visibility on platforms like ChatGPT, and also to help other SEO agencies to figure out their clients' visibility on these platforms and to help their clients as well. And so I guess from all that, Mentions was born, and that's what the tool helps you to do. It helps you to figure out how much visibility are you getting on platforms like ChatGPT? And by that, I mean, if users are putting certain prompts or searches into ChatGPT or Perplexity, Gemini, etc., what are the brands that ChatGPT, for example, is recommending? And how do you get your brand to be recommended by ChatGPT when people make searches in the platform?
That's beautiful. Thank you for breaking this down, because I feel like a lot of people are still using ChatGPT like it was 2023. And they're just typing, prompting, engineering, questioning, and thinking, and then planning, but they're not looking at it from the perspective of, how can I look behind the scenes and see what's really going on? Because like before, I mean, it still happens now. People still go to Google Search Console to see what's going on, to see what's happening in their analytics. And now with AI, they're like, okay, we now have to use AI mode and understand, okay, we have to be on these platforms. But people think they happen just because they're cited, but it's because it's structure. So most times people want to rank on ChatGPT, or let's say Claude, Perplexity, but they're not even ranking on Google. They're not ranking on Reddit. They're not ranking on LinkedIn. So how do you tell these people that need this so that they don't feel overwhelmed with information too?
Well, I think that good marketing is always a function of reverse engineering consumers' behavior. So you have to start with, what are people doing online and what is their behavior, and then reverse engineer it to figure out, how do I insert my brand into that, or how do I get my brand in front of people based on how they're behaving on the internet? So as an example, people are searching on Google. The obvious answer is, I need to rank on Google so that when people search on Google, my brand shows up. Same thing for Reddit. When we start to look at trends where people are having less trust in Google searches, because a lot of people feel like the Google search engine result page, so the 10 links that you get when you search on Google, a lot of people feel like those have been gamed, which they have by marketers. So then they turn to Reddit. And Reddit seems like a trustworthy source of unbiased information from other users. But then, of course, smart marketers reverse engineer that behavior, and they figure out, how do I now get my brand to show up on Reddit if that's where people are going? And that happens with every single platform. TikTok is another example where for a long time, and still today, I would argue, people turn to TikTok as a source of quote unquote unbiased user-generated content so that they can get reviews on products from real people. But of course, people learn how to game that platform as well. LLMs like ChatGPT, and there's obviously a lot. There's ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude. I'm just going to focus on ChatGPT because that's what most people are using, obviously. ChatGPT is just the latest platform that people are using. And for whatever reason, people's trust in ChatGPT is through the roof. Maybe it's because it feels very human. You interact with it in a chat-based interface compared to a search bar in Google. When you go into ChatGPT, you're communicating almost as if you're having a conversation with a friend or even a therapist. So people treat it as if they ask it questions and they're getting personalized responses back to them from this all-knowing AI entity that seems to know them. So people have a lot of trust in ChatGPT, and therefore it's becoming a more and more frequently used search engine and alternative to Google. And that is why I think a lot of marketers right now and a lot of brands are trying to figure out, how the hell do I get my brand to show up when people are searching for things? Maybe I'm selling shampoo and people are searching, what is the best organic sulfite-free shampoo in 2025? And you show up in ChatGPT. Well, that's a great way to that's a great customer acquisition channel.
This is good. One thing that people also ask about these tools is pricing, because they
Yep.
wonder why is pricing like this, because they don't know which one to pick. It's like they know that they're getting quality, but they don't know how much quality they're getting. Because I love Mentions because y'all have 8 LLMs. I've looked at other platforms, they have 3, 4, 5, and they're charging 3, 4, 5 times the amount. And you wonder, what are we really paying for? So people are in this trust and fear factor point, and they don't know how to get out of it, because a lot of people are saying the same thing in different ways.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess so. So are you saying that people don't know which platform to use?
They don't know what platform to use. It's like they're confused about what's working best for them. Like you said, everyone's using ChatGPT. So if all the platforms use ChatGPT, it doesn't matter which platform they go on. But when it comes to scaling or marketing agencies deciding, they don't know which one to pick, because they're not sure how beneficial each of them is going to be based on activity. So, or based on analytics, or based on tracking, or server system, or technical. So it's like Russian roulette at this point. But at the same time, I love that Mentions has been able to break it down. So I don't know if you've seen that in your industry, in your area, and also within your own ecosystem.
Well, I can tell you a few things. Number one is that there is an overwhelming number of tools in general that exist right now, because there are AI tools that are popping up like mushrooms all over the place, whether it is the LLMs. So there's ChatGPT, there's Perplexity, Claude, DeepSeek, etc. And people don't know which ones to use. And then even tools like ours, there's Mentions, and there's also our competitors, who I shall not name, but they're out there. And people don't know which ones to use, and they all come at different prices, and people don't know why they have different prices. So what I would say is that largely what I recommend is any tool can get the job done. There's not really that much of a difference necessarily between ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity. Everyone has their preferences. I like Claude better for writing. Some people like ChatGPT. It's similar to, I was just looking at different community platforms. Some people use School, some people use Slack, some people use Circle. Doesn't really matter which one you use. It's kind of a personal preference thing. And then for Mentions, what we're trying to do is, number one, we have tried to make the price affordable, because I think a lot of the other platforms have come out with prices that to me seem not only inaccessible, but I don't really understand why they're so expensive. Well, I actually do. I think it's number one, because this is a huge trend. So it's an opportunity to set whatever price these tools want, and people are going to pay it because it's a trending topic and kind of a burning pain that people are feeling. Number two, I think that a lot of the tools out here are, as a result of riding this trend, have raised a ton of money from venture capitalists. And so they have to have really high prices in order to match the value and the valuations that they've raised at. And because we're bootstrapped, we don't have that problem. So we've been able to undercut the price of a lot of these other tools. But then other than that, all the tools will have unique features and components to them, but a lot of it is going to come down to preference. And sometimes that preference is pricing, sometimes that preference might be customer service, or sometimes it might be the features that exist within the tool itself.
I love that. You mentioned something I want to even piggyback on: customer service. Because when people pay for these tools, like you said, the higher you pay, the higher the convenience, the higher the trust, the higher it just becomes more of a compound interest holistically. So when someone gets this tool, most times people don't even know how to use it. So the onboarding process is already a thing they're thinking about. Will somebody just leave me hanging, or do I have to keep emailing someone? So that's usually like their fear or the hump. So how does Mentions work so that they can feel comfortable when they know that they're signing up for a good thing?
Dude, I am huge on customer service. And what I do is I give my phone number to all of our customers, which sounds extreme, but I give my phone number, my WhatsApp, my email, and I also say, if you need anything, you can also tweet at me. So I'm trying to give access to our customers so that they don't have to mess around with these AI chatbots, which I find personally very frustrating, or calling into a hotline and you have to listen to that AI robotic voice and then you get put on hold and have to listen to elevator music for 20 minutes. So we are trying to make sure that our customers don't have that experience, especially because these tools are new. There is a learning curve. And I find it's really helpful to just get on a call with someone like myself, the founder or co-founder in this case, and to have a bit of a live demo, and for me to be able to walk the user through, here's how I use the platform, here's how I recommend using the platform, here are some features that you may not have noticed that could be helpful, and why don't we look at your specific site and how I recommend using the tool. So again, like, I'm really big on customer service, and the main thing is I just want people to be able to get their questions answered. So when I do calls with customers and I give them my phone number, I say, number one, my goal is, if you have a question, I want to answer it. If you encounter a bug, I want to fix that for you. And if you have a feature that you want to see in the platform, let me know and we will ship that for you. And I'm dead serious. And if anybody runs into issues, I want them to know that they can literally pick up the phone and call me, the CEO and co-founder, directly and go, Rob, I'm running into an issue with the platform. Please help me. And I will help them right then and there, whether I can provide that help or if it's pinging one of my other co-founders who might be more technical, who can fix a bug for them or something like that. So I think customer service is huge, especially today in today's world, because everyone's so frustrated with calling into these hotlines and being put on hold and dealing with AI robots and stuff. Like, it's a crappy experience. So we try to make that a competitive advantage and value prop for Mentions.
Thank you so much for doing this. I feel like we are the same, bro, because I do the same thing with our clients. So because you want to feel connected, they don't want to say, oh, is it going to be after you just hire us or we hire you, you now take us to the wolves and then you just leave us alone? No, we keep you within the family, the community, because we care about your time and your value. Because when you look at what you're doing, it's going to help you even get motivated because you're with someone who's accountable. You know, it just grows into that. Because I remember talking about the platform, and another platform reached out to me through email, and I was like, interesting. We forgot about y'all. We didn't even see y'all in the radar. Now it's happening, and I'm like, okay, it's making sense, because a lot of people are trying to figure out these things, and they're looking at brand mentions, as you said. And when I look at it as like SEO to SEO, I look at brand mentions with ChatGPT and Claude and Perplexity as earned impressions, you know, as opposed to organic impressions that we get on Google. Because people say, oh, is Google the same as ChatGPT? I'm like, no, ChatGPT is the same as Google AI mode or Gemini, but Google is the same as YouTube or Reddit, but not the same as ChatGPT. So if someone's thinking about where they want to go with mentions, how can they start planning to rank for the things that they're doing, knowing that it's an investment that they're actually doing early, so that they're not thinking about, oh, are we ranking for this? No, we're showing up because we show up for that, you know, reason within our business operating system.
So I think number one, just to make things really simple for people, it's helpful to think about the way that LLMs work. In the past, when they first came out, and you were using ChatGPT and I was using ChatGPT, it was trained on a knowledge base from, I think it was 2021 data or something, 2021 or 2022 data. Yeah. So when you made a search, the response that it gave you was based off of the knowledge base that it had, that pre-existing data from 2021. What ended up happening is that that was not that useful for people, because a lot of the searches that people want to make in ChatGPT are about topics that are more timely. So you might be trying to figure out what is the best shampoo, or whatever topic it is, but you want to know, what is that answer today? Like, where do I buy X product today in 2025, or whatever the question might be. So naturally, OpenAI and all the other LLMs had to add that search operator into their platform, the search feature, which is that they now can search the web. And so now the way that ChatGPT and other LLMs work is it's like LLM plus search operator equals the result that you get. And what I mean is that if I ask, what is the best shampoo for dry scalps in 2025? And don't ask why I'm so focused on shampoo. Clearly I have a dry scalp, okay? But if that's what you're trying to ask to ChatGPT, what it's going to do is it's going to search the internet. So Bing, Google, it's going to scrape the top 10, 20 results that show up on the search engines. And then it's going to digest that information, summarize that information, and serve it to the user. So that's fundamentally how it works. So with that in mind, you go, okay, the LLMs are first, they're searching the internet. Let's just say Google, even though we know that OpenAI is owned mainly by Microsoft. And so people go, oh, it's important to show up on Bing and whatever. Let's just put that aside for now. The point is that these LLMs are searching the internet. So let's say that they are probably going to be looking at what are the top 10, 20 results that show up on Google. If somebody's asking a question in ChatGPT, they're going to search those results to summarize them. So naturally, what that means is that you have to show up in those results, i.e. traditional SEO. Now, the difference is that number one, it may not be as important to show up exactly in the number one, number two, number three positions in Google. Even just getting onto page one and page two can be a benefit to being able to get recommended by ChatGPT. But number two is once you start thinking about it that way, your only two options to get more visibility in LLMs is I need to either create more content on my own website to rank on Google and Bing, or I need to find a way to get my brand mentioned on the pages that are already showing up on the first couple pages of Google and Bing. Which is basically, do I create content for my website, or do I reach out to these other publishers and try to get my brand mentioned on their pages? That's really not too dissimilar from traditional SEO. In fact, it's pretty much the same thing. So what I would say is that a lot of the activities that you need to do to get visibility in these platforms is very similar to traditional SEO. Now, where tools like Mentions can help you is you need to figure out, number one, is it going to be that I need to create my own content, or do I need to try to earn or pay my way onto other publishers' pages? So that's the first decision that needs to be made. And then it's also like, what type of page do I need to make? So as an example, I was just speaking to a Mentions user who is tracking a prompt because they're getting a lot of traffic from ChatGPT from specific prompts that people are putting into ChatGPT, and they want to know how to get more traffic. And when we are tracking the prompts via Mentions, we can see that ChatGPT, as part of the pages that they are searching and scraping to get their information, one of the pages that they are scraping is actually YouTube. It's a YouTube video. So that gives us information on, instead of creating a blog article on their site, or instead of reaching out to a publisher to get mentioned on some sort of listicle, actually what we need to do for this particular prompt is to maybe create a YouTube video. So again, it's really just about reverse engineering it's reverse engineering the customer's behavior and what they're doing online, and then also reverse engineering platforms like ChatGPT and figuring out, well, how are they getting their data? What are the sources that they are citing to provide responses to users? And then how do we become the sources that they are citing or get on the pages that are being cited?
This is good. Thank you so much for breaking it down. I'm now thinking about companies and profiles. So I'm wondering, should Mentions be a platform that businesses should have? You know, when you look at marketing stack and you say, oh, you got WordPress or you got this or that, that's what determines whether the work is even going to be there, whether you use Elementor or Divi or any other kind of tool, or even, there are just many out there. So when you look at these tools, would it be advisable for a business owner to sign up with Mentions, or look for a business that has a marketing stack with Mentions, for example, so that they can get their own brand and save on money and time and maximize on optimization for their actual business goals?
I mean, obviously I'm biased as a co-founder, so yeah, like I want as many people to sign up for Mentions as possible. But the way that I would think about it is this: what is the buyer journey for your product? This is an exercise that I do with our clients for our SEO agency, as an example. Somebody might come to us and go, I am interested in pursuing SEO, or I'm interested in trying to get more visibility on LLMs like ChatGPT. The first question is, well, is that even where you should be putting your marketing resources? Because doing SEO or GEO takes time and it takes money and resources. So first, let's just figure out, is that where you should even be investing your time and money and energy? And the way you figure that out is, well, what is your buyer journey? If you have a product that is an impulse buy product, so maybe like a consumer packaged goods, impulse buy e-com style product that you might see on TikTok, those types of products, typically the buyer journey is that your customer or your ideal customer is scrolling through TikTok or Instagram. They get a video for a product that is very eye-catching or has that viral impulse buy quality to it. And then they click through to the page. There's maybe some sort of urgency or offer, and they buy that product. If that is the buyer journey, one thing you might have noticed is that I did not mention Google or ChatGPT anywhere within that buyer's journey. So therefore, if that fits the description of the type of company that you are or the product that you're selling, then no, you probably should not do SEO. You probably should not try to do GEO and show up in ChatGPT. However, if you're a business and you say, well, yeah, our buyer journey is that our ideal customer has a problem, and then they go and they search that problem in ChatGPT or they search it in Google to try to find an answer. And when they search that, then a page will come up and they'll click on that page and they'll read an article. And then from there, they may do a few more steps and end up buying. And then it's like, okay, well, if that is the user journey and Google or any search engine, whether it's ChatGPT or Perplexity or whatever, if that is a part of their buying journey, then yes, you should definitely invest in SEO and probably GEO, because that's where everyone's going. And so if that describes you, then I probably would recommend that you get Mentions, because if your end customer is using ChatGPT to inform their buying decision, then you want to show up on ChatGPT. And Mentions will help you to do that.
And that is correct, because I love using Mentions. Let me ask you this last question.
Yeah.
And what's the best feature about Mentions that you love, and why?
It's a good question. There's a few. I really like so I normally live in the prompts section. The analytics is also really fun. I'm trying to think about which is my single favorite feature. I like the suggest prompt feature. I would say that for me, the most useful is when you go into the prompt section and you see the prompts that you're tracking, and then you click into one of those prompts so that you can see the examples of conversations that people are having with ChatGPT. From there, Mentions will show you what are the pages that are most being cited by ChatGPT. And it literally just gives you a list. And the more days that you track these prompts, the better the data gets. So as an example, for some of the prompts that we are tracking for some of our clients, we can see very clearly that ChatGPT is very keen on citing these top 10 pages when users are inputting certain searches and prompts into ChatGPT. And that to me just provides a very easy roadmap for what that brand should be doing to get more visibility in ChatGPT. The answer is so simple. It's like, well, you should literally reach out to these brands and try to get on those pages, on those listicles. Normally you just pay a fee and they'll put you on those pages. Or if it's depending on the query, you should write a piece of content on your own website to try to rank and become one of the pages that are cited. So I think it's the prompts section for me. I can play around in the prompt section for hours, and it's just fascinating to see all the data. And I'm a bit of like a data nerd. So that's what I would say. That said, the analytics feature is also cool just because GA4, Google Analytics, is really difficult and cumbersome and clunky to use. And our analytics feature pulls in all of the data from GA4 and it shows it to you in a dashboard that's really easy to understand and makes it fun to look at. And so you can literally see what are the pages that people are most often coming to on your website from ChatGPT or Perplexity or other LLMs. And I think that it's such a novel experience for people, and it's such an exciting thing when you see, holy cow, like people are actually finding my website from ChatGPT. It's kind of like a magical experience. And so to be able to see exactly what pages they're going to and what countries they're coming from and are they accessing it on mobile or desktop, it's just a lot of data that is new and exciting and quite frankly magical for a lot of people.
This is exciting. Now I think people are really looking forward to jumping in because this is when it starts to get exciting, when you can actually understand things and then you do it yourself. You're like, okay, let me prompt this. And then in a week from now, it changes. Because I love how something that this just reminded me, I know people will love this part. I noticed that there's a countdown timer as well within 24 hours. And I also spotted that too, because with GSC, they give you the last update in mono or analog form. You know, they'll say, oh, last updated 5 hours ago, 3.5, you know, but you get that 24-hour clock. When someone's looking at that clock, what should they be thinking?
So what that clock does is what that means, because it's a 24-hour countdown.
Yeah.
And what it means is that every 24 hours, we are taking the prompts that you are tracking within Mentions, and we are inputting those into all of the LLMs, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Grok, Claude, DeepSeek, etc. And then we are seeing what is the response that these LLMs are giving in response to the prompt. And the reason why it's important to input that prompt every 24 hours or every could be every week, but we're just doing it every 24 hours right now, is because every time you search a prompt in ChatGPT, you're not going to get the exact same response. It's going to be a similar response that you get, but it's never going to be exactly the same. The overlap is maybe like 70%. And so what we want to do is we want to input that prompt into the LLMs as many times as possible to collect as much data as possible. Because the more data that we collect, the more accurate the data becomes, because that data is basically, we're using a larger data set, which kind of increases the accuracy of the insights that we pull from that data. So it's kind of like, as an example, if you're using Google And what most people don't know is that, let's say that you're ranking number one on Google according to one of the traditional SEO tools like SEMrush or Ahrefs. Well, you may be showing up first if you search that keyword into Google in New York. But if your friend is in LA or whatever, New Orleans or Portland, they may see different search results because Google has different data centers all over the US, and depending where you are, it's going to pull from different data centers and give slightly different results. So even those tools, they're basically giving you the best possible data that they can provide so that you can make the best decisions as a marketer, as a brand. And we're trying to do the same thing by going, how can we collect as much data as possible so that we can pull the most accurate insights from that data? And the best way of doing it right now is just having that fun countdown timer and inputting these prompts into the LLMs on a regular cadence, and then tracking those results over the course of days, weeks, and months.
This is beautiful. It's so practical that someone can't miss, because if you really know your target market, then it's going to be easy for you to know what people are frequently asking and then prompt that into your engine, which gives you that context engineering. So I love that you're able to give that today, Rob. Thank you for being with us on the We Don't Play podcast show today.
Hell yeah, I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, definitely. I know people want to get started. They want to now know, okay, now it's time to rock on. It's time to get in. How can they connect with you? How can they start using Mentions, and what are their next steps?
So go to Mentions.so and create an account. And once you create an account, then you will get an email where it's basically just like the follow-up email where you can book a call with me. You can respond to that email and I'll answer. Also, if you want to just find me on X or LinkedIn, you can find me. It's Rob Hoffman. You'll see on my bio, you'll see Mentions.so, contact.so, and Clio.so. What else? My email, rob@contactstudios.com. There's many ways that you can get in touch with me. Basically, any platform that you can find me on, if you just message me, I'll answer. But I would say sign up for Mentions and then book a call, and you will get to speak to me literally directly on a call. That's probably the best way.
I love that. And that's how we connected. So it's proof that it does work. It's actually working. Thank you again, Rob, for being with us, and looking forward to bringing you back on the show to talk about Mentions again soon.
All right. I appreciate you. It's been really fun. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Now, that was an episode, right? Thank you so much for listening to the We Don't Play podcast show. I'm so glad that you're here and you are sticking tight with us, especially to the very end. Now, this is season 11 and we're going to do it differently. And I want to make sure that every episode you listen to has something to give back so that you can also learn more after you listen. Now, We Don't Play podcast show is where you listen, you live, you learn, and you earn. So if you're in any of those positions out of those four, please make sure that you reach out to me. Send out an email through info@playinc.online. That's info@playinc.online. Or you could go to playinc.online, which is a website, www.playinc.online, playinc.online, and schedule a call so that we can get you on an SEO discovery call to talk about your business and help you with your marketing needs. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope this helped you. See you in the next episode. God bless you. Jesus loves you. Bye.